Hi everybody.
Hello.
You said you couldn't see?
Can't see. All I can see is a red dot
Well, you know, I was
and flesh.
I was talking with someone on the phone and I had to give them the number on my health insurance card on the back of the card. And I could barely read the numbers. That's the first time that I've had that challenge. And I know.
Oh no.
So.
Well, at least it's just your eyesight. I think I was losing my marbles the other day because I was on the phone to someone. And then during the course of the conversation, I had to look up a number on my phone or an address or something. And they said, hang on a minute, I don't know where my phone is. I started looking for my phone.
You're talking about
It was the most senior moment I've had to date. I can't even believe I'm saying that out loud. Help! Help me! Somebody out there!
I can't believe you didn't tell me.
I know, I thought I should keep that to myself.
Oh, that rivals Hawaii almost.
It does.
Well, I was thinking about how when we first started doing these vlogs, and especially when I started writing my blogs, there was always such a lot of material for me to write about or to talk about in these because there was more conflict going on. And now there's a lot less conflict going on. It's a good thing.
So we got boring.
I guess so.
You should never say that. You never should say that out loud because it might all change tomorrow.
Oh, I forget that you're superstitious.
I know, because it seems like every time I think that, then the shit hits the fan and then we get into difficulty. So I keep those thoughts to myself now, purposefully. But no, I think you're right. Dare I say it?
What?
I think that we have far less conflict now than we used to. And that, well, speaking for myself personally, that I take myself far less seriously. And in the few times that I get out of balance, I get more observational about it rather than anything else.
No, I was going to say I take you far less seriously too.
Well, no, actually I was going to say that too, but you beat me to it. I was going to say, in the few times that you get out of balance, I am inclined to take you less seriously as well.
Yeah.
Which has been very cool.
And I was doing an interview for an online series, and I also noticed that when I was getting ready for it that I felt really excited, and that when I was talking with the person I felt really happy, and I didn't feel like the normal, like what I would have done in the past. I would have felt nervous, I would have had a hard time, but it was just so easy. And she actually said, you had a lot to say.
Really?
I could talk too much.
I think you always have a lot to say.
Yeah, but that's with you. It's not usually that kind of situation.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. I
think one of the things that I've noticed for myself of late is that, or like for argument's sake with my writing, is that, like I say, I've been writing a novel for about the last 25 years.
It's not that long.
No, it's not that long. But it seems like it's been that long. But I don't know, for whatever reason this week, something has landed for me around not taking it's hard to articulate, but I have had a tendency in the past to really write from my intellect. I think that's how the novel started. It was very much an intellectual pursuit. And look what I'm writing, how clever this, or taking hours to write because I couldn't feel like anything was worthy to put down on paper or didn't read well. And now I can see how the intellect wants to interfere with the whole writing process. And now I just write and try to write from that place of mind, let's say. You know, maybe that's the best way that I can describe that, where I'm not even thinking about, and it sounds so bizarre to say not even thinking about what I'm writing, but it's amazing how it just flows out of me. And that I actually now in real time find myself writing, and I'm not editing as I'm going along. I'm actually letting it flow and then not even doing anything to impede that flow. And just trusting that in that flow there will something that will come forward that will have value. It's almost like I'm ignoring the intellect. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of extraordinary how the words come out. And I think that that's the same principle for whatever we're doing on a creative level, a professional level, where we're sports, whether we're playing sports or we're we're trying to develop, I don't know, anything, software, you name it. Life in general. As soon as we try to really lead with our intellect, as opposed to that other force, shall we say, that we tend to get ourselves into difficulty.
Well, it's kind of like when you're describing your writing, it's like it's just coming through you. You're not thinking it. It's happening. It's kind of happening to you.
Yeah.
And just letting that happen and kind of being a witness to that happening.
Yeah. And also trusting that it will, that something will come forward out of that space.
And I think that's what I'm really feeling kind of in a more general way, just being more sort of comfortable in being that witness and allowing life to just kind of happen more. You know, rather than trying to interfere like you're saying. I was always much better at not interfering with the writing and just letting that come up, but I would be much more interfering with trying to control you or other things.
All right. Yeah, there is a sweet surrender in this whole experience and this understanding. Is that, I think that we're kind of very well versed, or, I think we live our lives in many respects as human beings trying to control everyone and everything so that we get our needs met. But once we give all that up and trust that things will unfold in a much more graceful way, if we just allow ourselves to be led by that space, then that's a much, much more comfortable existence.
And that it's not a form of resignation, it's not a form of giving up, it's really a letting go and surrendering to something that just feels so much better than trying to control. Just the allowing of that and getting filled up by that and feeling the inspiration of that, it just makes life more graceful.
Yeah, because I think ultimately behind the control is fear, to one degree or another. Once we take that off the table, life is just there to be enjoyed and have fun.
It's true, but in our relationship, I think that's the byproduct of that, is that our relationship is a lot more peaceful, settled, loving, in a really lovely way.
Yeah. And then it's actually being more cognizant of the fear coming forward. I think that's a big feature for me, is that, in the times where I get rattled and the times that I get irritated with you or anybody, I think it's because there's a little bit of flight or fight coming forward. And in the past, I haven't really necessarily been that conscious of it. But now it's more of an indicator to me. I can see that I've got out of balance by taking my thinking seriously. And I'm like, more often than not now, I'm like, well, look at that. That's interesting. Look what I'm doing.
And it's in the surrender that we enjoy each other more. Like, not through working on the relationship and trying to fix the relationship and make it better, but just through each of us letting go, that the relationship gets nicer.
Yeah. It's kind of like swimming with the current as opposed to swimming it against it.
Yeah. We're losing the light. It's getting dark in here.
It's very dark outside.
I know, it's pouring.
Pouring.
Well, have a great weekend, everybody.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.